What is backward compatibility in API versioning? Imagine you have an app that talks to a server through an application programming interface, or API. Over time, the API gets updates and new features. But what happens to the apps that were built to work with the older versions? That's where backward compatibility comes into play. It's a way to make sure that even when the API changes, the old apps still keep working smoothly. In simple terms, backward compatibility means that newer versions of an API support the same functions, data formats, and behaviors as older versions. So, if you built an app that used version 1 of the API, it can still talk to version 2 or 3 without breaking. This is important because it prevents existing users from facing issues when the API gets updated. Let's break down what makes an API backward compatible. First, the endpoints or URL that clients use should stay the same, or at least behave the same way. If a field in the data changes or gets removed, it can cause errors for the app expecting the old data. So, API developers avoid removing or renaming fields in the data. They also avoid changing how the endpoints respond or behave in ways that could break older clients. Supporting multiple versions at the same time is another key part. Developers can include version numbers in the URL, like v1 or v2. They can also use headers to specify the version. This way, clients can choose which version they want to use, and the server can serve the correct one. This approach helps keep old apps working while new features are added in newer versions. The benefits of backward compatibility are clear. It keeps existing users happy because their apps won't suddenly stop working. It also allows a gradual upgrade process, so clients can switch to newer versions when they are ready. For backend teams, it simplifies maintenance because they don't have to rewrite old client code every time they update the API. Of course, maintaining backward compatibility can be tricky. It limits how much the API can change because old behaviors must be preserved. Supporting old formats and logic can also add extra work and complexity. Sometimes, it may slow down improvements or make the system less efficient. Backend developers ensure backward compatibility by adding new features as optional or separate endpoints. They use API gateways to route requests to the right version. Automated tests are run regularly to check that older behaviors still work after updates. Communication with API users about deprecation timelines and migration options is also very important. In the end, backward compatibility in API versioning is about making sure that when the API evolves, it doesn't break the systems that relying on it. It helps keep the backend environment stable and accessible, even as new features and improvements are added. This approach makes backend development easier and more reliable for everyone involved.